Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. So we're going to begin in a moment. If anybody is having technical issues, just send us a message in the chat. We'll get that rectified. So the webinar should run for around 20 minutes and we'll have about 10 minutes at the end for our Q&A session. We hope to answer as many of your questions as possible, but if we are running short on time, we'll answer you individually after the webinar. I'm now going to pass you across to Richard.
Thanks, Aaron. Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us today. As an outline of the webinar, I'll start with a quick introduction, and then we'll jump into looking at what digital transformation actually is, what the main pitfalls are that can lead to failure, and how to avoid them, and then what technologies you need to succeed. We'll finish off with some time for Q&A, so please feel free to pop your questions into the chat area of the webinar at any time. The team will answer them as we go, and any that are unanswered we'll cover at the end. And if we run out of time, we'll follow up with you after the session. So this is me. I'm Richard Campbell, and I'm the Managing Director of Allsop. At Allsop, our main goal is to make working lives better. We primarily do this through digital transformation projects. I've been at Allsop for 17 years, and over that time, I've worked on over 100 projects for our clients. These clients range from micro-organizations with less than 10 people to global enterprise organizations with thousands of people across the world. In each of these projects, two big focuses are always saving time and adding value. We've calculated that we have saved millions of hours for our clients through efficiencies and improvements introduced by digital transformation. But what is digital transformation? So it can be defined as the process of using digital technologies to create new or modify existing business processes, culture, and customer experiences to meet changing business and market requirements. It is a reimagining of business in the digital age. Put simply, it's about looking at what we want to do or are currently doing and seeking to improve that experience using digital technology. But this is also the why, seeking to improve. We shouldn't do digital transformation just because we think we need to appear modern or because someone else is and we need to stay competitive. These can be valid reasons, but the primary goal of any digital transformation project should be to improve, whether that be our processes, our people, our customers, or our planet. If we look at a few examples that are commonplace for most people nowadays. E-commerce, allowing buyers to browse and shop items anytime from anywhere. Online banking, from day-to-day banking to applying for loans and mortgages, all without stepping foot in a branch. And streaming services, be it music, TV shows, or movies, all instant and all available for rental or purchase. These industries have all been disrupted by digital transformation, and yet all the end results provide clear improvements for customers, allowing them to get what they need from the comfort of their home by providing more choice or lower cost offerings than traditional methods. However, many organizations have tried to pivot their processes to follow these trends and have failed. In fact, the global management consulting firm, BCG, found that 70% of all digital transformations either fail or don't manage to reach all of their intended goals. Now, that in itself might be enough to put anyone off trying, as the odds are stacked against you from the start. However, by keeping focused on the primary goal of seeking to improve and watching out for some common mistakes, we can be sure that failure is avoided. I want to mention the three main pitfalls that organizations often overlook when starting a digital transformation. The first is doing too much and expecting unrealistic results. The most common problem we see is that businesses have a vision for the end goal of their digital transformation and want to jump straight to that end state. This leads to frustration when things go wrong, plans change, or the results aren't achieved quickly enough. Transformation is the process of changing, and that process is the project. Start by looking at what are all the high-level changes that are needed to get to that end state. Then prioritize which of these are going to give the most improvement for the least effort, and focus on a quick win that allows you to start the transformation and get the organization used to this new state of change. Resistance to change is inevitable, so try to include all or as many employees in the process as possible. At the start, it can just be ensuring that communication to outline the vision and set expectations is shared so that everyone is aware of the improvements that are coming and where in the journey you are. If everyone is aware, you'll get greater buy-in for the project and more feedback to allow you to make better decisions as you progress. And ensuring you're clear about what is happening and realistic about what the results are. It is therefore key as you communicate this with the wider organization. If people are left guessing or don't think it's achievable, then that uncertainty or doubt can spread and impact your efforts. So try to ensure you have methods of feedback that ensure anything that arises can be addressed and communicated quickly to everyone to keep everyone on the same page. Related to this is another common mistake we see when organizations treat digital transformation like a one-time project and stay focused on only the end goal they set out originally. Of course, keeping aligned to the end goal is important, but our industry, technology, and the world around us is constantly evolving. And as such, our goals should be evolving constantly too. Digital transformation is a long-term mindset rather than a point project. If we follow the advice of the first pitfall and break our goals down into smaller projects, we can then review at the end of each project what went well and what didn't, and use this to improve our next one. In some cases, through doing this review, we might realize that the objectives we set out originally are no longer what we should be aiming for. This could be because we discover something has changed, or we realize there's a better way to achieve the same end goal. By having these small projects, it allows us to pivot quickly and react to the changing world around us without wasting time and resources on something that may become redundant or be inefficient. And in most projects of any type, there's a project manager who sees the project through to completion, and digital transformations are no different. However, with digital transformation projects, you also want to ensure you have a champion of improvement as part of the project team. Ideally, this is someone who understands the process that is undergoing digital transformation really well, but can also fully see the benefit of making the improvements. This will differ from project to project depending on the area you're looking at. But some examples of this we have seen are a factory worker who would rather spend time ensuring the machines in the production line are running optimally than filling in paperwork, or a call center operative who would rather be on the phones with customers than typing in order details received by email or fax, or an HR officer who would rather spend time interviewing and shortlisting candidates than chasing departments to get a new employee onboarded correctly and quickly. In all of these cases, it is the people who will get the benefit from the change day to day that have been the champions of improvement. They help those implementing the transformation understand the current or potential pain points and ensure that whatever the result is, that it will work on a day-to-day basis for them and their colleagues. By being part of the project team, they can also quickly give feedback on what may make the process inefficient or add dissatisfaction to the experience. And because they fully see the long-term benefit, this will be honest feedback, which will be invaluable to the wider team in ensuring success. And lastly, our third main pitfall is that organizations don't select and evaluate the correct partners to assist with their digital transformation journey. In some cases, organizations will try to do it themselves. This is often the wrong choice, as it can mean that you lose focus on what you're already doing day to day, which can bring negative impact to your people and your customers. It may also mean you try to upskill quickly in new technologies that you've had no experience with previously. And this means best practices are usually not followed, and it can lead to an inefficient result of the resources you have available. At Allsop, we by no means think a partner should do it all for you either. We encourage our customers and their staff to upskill and learn as we engage on a project. And often training is a key part of what we deliver, but we encourage it only under the right guidance and training. In finding a partner, a lot of organizations will go to market, get quotes, shortlist potential partners, and then review the offerings and make a decision. This is normal, but often a few key steps are overlooked. You should research potential partners as early as possible in this process. This could be by reviewing their website to see what other organizations they've worked with and how similar they are to you. If they've only worked with large multinationals, then they may not be the best cultural fit for a microorganization. Or if all of their customers are hotels, then they may not have experience of the processes within a distribution business. Similarly, look at the types of technology used in the projects they've done before. If they have a lot of e-commerce website experience and you have e-commerce as one of your goals, then they will likely be a better fit than someone who has lots of experience putting accounting systems in. It is also good to speak to at least one or two of their existing customers and ask questions about how it is to work with them, why they selected them over others, and what post-project experience they've had with them. These are the questions that only someone else in your shoes can answer, and it will give you a feel for what the engagement might look like rather than just what the project being proposed will be made up of. And when searching for a potential partner, try to find a small engagement to start with. This allows both you and the partner to get to know each other's working styles and iron out any uncertainty or issues early. It also means that should you or the partner realize that they aren't best suited to meet your requirements, you're not committed to a large project and discovering this further down the track. At Allsop, we engage on a foundations project with all new customers. where we encourage design and proof of concept work on a project prior to any development or implementation. There's a tangible result at the end of the foundations for the customer, but most importantly, it ensures we are both on the same page going into the next stage of the project. It also removes any doubt or unknown technical issues that could cause problems later, and it means there are no surprises when we kick off the main project. In some cases, during the foundations, we realize that some or all of what the customer needs is better provided by someone else. We signpost this to the customer, and every time it's the best for both of us. We aren't engaged in a project that we aren't going to provide best value on, and the customer can get a better solution from someone more suited. It's always worth asking a potential partner if you can engage in a similar fashion for your first project. So, once you've decided to embark on your digital transformation journey and you're aware of the potential pitfalls, what sort of technologies will you need to succeed? We've found that 4 key technology areas are central to every successful digital transformation project. First is visualization and insights. The phrase, "a picture paints 1,000 words," is most appropriate here. Think about what data is needed to help improve and understand processes, and how this can be shown so that anyone can get the information they need at a glance, rather than having to drill down through reports or spreadsheets. There are many technology vendors in this area, such as the 3 Gartner leaders, Microsoft Power BI, Tableau, and Qlik, and they all provide excellent solutions to help you not just visualize the data, but also interact with them to drill into the insights that they surface. Many of these also have artificial intelligence-backed engines, so that they will spot trends in your data automatically and highlight anomalies or outliers. Secondly is data management. Whilst visualization and insights can be very powerful to help you get the most useful information as part of your digital transformation, without clean, reliable data, it can be a disaster. We had one example of a customer who had sites across Europe and wanted to know the total numbers of each item sold across all sites. When we started to look at their data, they had the same item being sold in 15 different sites with 15 different names and no link between them in their systems. Looking at your data and understanding it should be a top priority at the start of any digital transformation project. You need to ensure you have or can get clean data to enable you to achieve your digital transformation goals. There are lots of technologies out there that offer data management capabilities. So in reviewing these, 3 of the key features to look for are workflow, looking at how the tool can force a journey of data to ensure data is entered in the correct way and keep it simple for users. Approvals, seeing how data can be governed and audited to ensure its accuracy and integrity. And security, understanding how the data is secured and how access control is able to restrict who can see or edit what pieces of data. And thirdly is automation. There are a lot of ways to implement automation as part of a digital transformation project, but often the simplest place to start is by looking at what tasks need to be done by the process under review. By understanding how important each of these tasks are and how often they are done, you can identify those that will have the biggest impact by automating them. You should also review how complex they are to perform, as those less complex tasks should be easier to automate and thus will give the greatest return for the least investment. You should also seek to automate any approvals or business logic if the criteria for it can be defined. As a simple example, say you had a process where each new customer request for your sales team requires approval from credit control. You could automate some of these approvals based on a rule, say only those which are requesting a credit limit greater than £100, and the time saved could be worth more than the risk of letting some be auto-approved. Of course, it would be safer to maybe add some more business logic to this to reduce the risk. For example, you could segment the customers into industries and have that auto-approved limit variable by customer type. But in any case, it's about looking for the processes and understanding where automation can save time and add value. And the final technology area that should be considered is integration. In essence, integration is how your systems will interface with each other, and getting this right can be the difference between a successful digital transformation and a failed one. These days, most systems have an API, which stands for Application Programming Interface, or some other interface which allows systems to be programmed to either send or receive data with them. However, just because they have an API doesn't mean that they can interface with other systems in the way that you want or need them to. APIs typically have a specification, and this outlines what you can do with it, and by omission, therefore what you can't. For example, your account system might have an API to let you export your data to a visualization tool. But if it doesn't have an API to create invoices, then you might find it difficult to integrate when you're coming to do an e-commerce project. For this reason, it is recommended that you review your existing systems for the integration method they support and use that to help plan your digital transformation journey. In some cases, this can highlight what systems you have that may need to be upgraded or replaced in order to achieve your goals. But always ask your digital transformation partner if they can review other ways to integrate your systems that may not be part of a published API or interface before making these sort of decisions. When upgrading or replacing a system, often the actual cost of new software is minimal compared to the cost on your business due to the impact of changing systems. There are tools available which can emulate user behavior or parse system standard outputs, and these can be used for integration when supported methods aren't possible. They are typically more complex, but even with that, they can still be more cost efficient compared to replacing or upgrading an existing system. And as a specific example, at Allsop, we have created a digital transformation platform that includes these 4 technologies, as well as many other features. We embed Power BI inside the platform to allow for seamless and integrated access to visualization and insights. This allows you not only to see your information in a clear and easy way, but also action items directly from the Power BI dashboards, be that to add or edit the data, create notifications for colleagues, or action a workflow for a customer. We also integrate artificial intelligence in the platform to enable prediction-based insights and smart approvals. For data management, we have multi-stage workflows to ensure all data follows a consistent path regardless of its origin, as well as sign-off and approval flags for any piece of data. All of this is configurable by our customers in the platform to allow for self-service management and quick reaction to changing circumstances. All data is held securely in encrypted databases, and access can be granted or revoked to any piece of data, including time-sensitive access, which auto-expires. Automation is at the heart of our platform. We allow customers to create automation rules for approvals or business logic constraints, macros and queries for automating repetitive tasks or bulk data changes, and configurable triggers for calling out to third-party integrations. We can also analyze the usage of the platform through machine learning, and the platform can auto-suggest any areas that are currently candidates for automation when it detects repetitive manual action. Integration is key to our platform success. We have API actions available for any process in our system, and also have webhook and SFTP capabilities for interfacing with non-API systems. Our integration features allow you to map your data outputs from the platform to the format your other systems require via self-service configuration. And what this means is you can often implement third-party integration with yourself without writing any code. We can also integrate by a single sign-on with your existing systems to allow you to ensure your data is protected and you're in control of who has access to the system at any time. We created our platform with these 4 technologies at the center, as our experience showed that these were key to success regardless of the type of digital transformation project being undertaken. And by making it configurable, we could ensure it was easy to use and yet flexible to meet anyone's requirements. And that's it. I hope you found the webinar insightful, and hopefully you'll have taken away at least one thing that will help ensure your own digital transformation projects are a success. I'm going to hand back to Aaron now to see if we've got any questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks for that. So we're going to shortly begin our Q&A session. Please do post your questions if you haven't already. And if you do want to find out more about Allsop, you can scan the QR code and that will bring you to our website. You'll get more information there. So let's see what questions have come through. So we've got one here, Richard. How can we ensure excellent customer service with digital transformation?
Okay. So if I go back to what I said at the start, the goal of any digital transformation is to improve, and that can be to improve processes, but it can also be to improve the experience. So if you keep focused on improving the customer's experience, that can ensure you've excellent customer service. But also, some of the things we would recommend is get feedback from customers as you progress. Bring customers along. Those champions of improvement obviously mostly are internal to the business, but if you've got key customers who can come along that journey with you, they can become external champions as well. And I would also say is test a lot. So when you're doing a digital transformation project and you've got I said at the start, you want to start small and sort of build up on quick wins. One thing that you want to do is test at each of those increments. If something's not working, stop, look at it again, and have another go, and make sure that you're measuring as you go through. Another thing is automation. So if your staff are doing mundane or repetitive tasks, if there's things that are in there that you can automate, that will often empower them to be more focused on what's important. So that could be, as I said, with example of the call center operative, instead of them keying orders into the system, they were able to be on the phone and providing better service. The calls from customers were being answered with fewer rings because there's more people available to do that. So yeah, that I would say is test often, try and bring along a customer with you, and also look at where you can automate to get other value from your internal staff.
Okay, so we've got another question here. How exactly can digital transformation provide a return on investment?
Okay. Yeah, every project's different. So it's about measuring what you're trying to achieve. As I said at the start, the two things that we often find is the projects have a focus either on what time can be saved or what added value can become as an output. So by looking at those two things and measuring them, hopefully you can start to see where there can be a return. Another example, we had a customer who had won a new contract. As part of that, they sort of looked at their processes and say, yeah, we're going to have to employ 5 people to manage this contract and maintain our customer service levels. And they engaged us. We were engaged with another project, but they sort of mentioned this to us, and we said, look, why don't we look at the processes that are happening there, and how we can, is there anything we can do, with a digital solution? And when we looked at it, we found a way to change how they were doing some of those processes, and as a result, they were able to. They won the new contract. They were able to actually, when we started recording some of their service levels, they doubled some of the results in different service areas they were doing, and they employed only one additional person. And I think on that, I think they said something like they had about a 5 times ROI within the first by year 2. So because they'd looked at what they believed, if they continued with their current processes, what it would have cost and so on, by looking at that and looking at the investment in the digital transformation project, as I said, they had a good way to measure that, because they knew what they believed the cost was going to be. They knew what the return of winning that contract was, and they were happy with that, obviously. But they looked for an efficiency, and as I said, they employed 1 additional person rather than 5, but also they were able to increase some of their service levels as well, rather than just maintain.
Okay, great. I'm having a look here. We've got another one come through. How much commitment from our business would it involve to digitally transform?
So yeah, I mean, it's a journey, as I said. So it's not a point project. It's a long-term mindset. So you really want as much commitment as possible, but you want to get to that commitment, I suppose. The whole business doesn't have to suddenly say, right, we're doing digital transformation and we're gonna everyone's focused 100% on this, because obviously that's not realistic. As I said, I think you need to start small with a small project. Identify what would be a quick win if you could achieve that. And if you're starting on a small project, you don't need to have much cost or time involvement. It can be something that is looking at maybe one process in one department, and engaging 1 person in there as a champion. But I think by measuring each of these, then you can start small, and essentially once you've got that one, you can say, okay, how you use the results of that to convince others, and I said as well, you know, you want to communicate widely across the organization from the start. So even if you're not, you know, asking for everyone's commitment, you want to make everyone aware that this is our journey we're on, and here's where we are, and here's what we want to get to, but you know, we're going to start small. And by doing that, you'll also get commitment from others who, you know, are really keen to see this, or they've maybe seen it in another organization elsewhere, and they've got ideas, and they will become your champions of improvement as you look at other areas as well. So it's not that you need, as I said, the whole business committed from day one. You just need to start small, and you know, as I said, by measuring and getting those results and communicating that, everyone will start to naturally want to be involved, because they'll want those results as well in their department.
So we probably have time for one more question. I'm just conscious there that we're wrapping up. So we've got one come through: how to convince the old school stakeholders to use the transform system and make them play a role in business enhancement.
Okay. Yeah. I suppose bringing people along is often difficult. And as I said earlier as well, you know, resistance to change is a bit inevitable. I think it's about, you know, as I said in the return about getting the commitment across the business, it's sort of similar. If you could start small, where you've got something to prove it in, you know, often the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. By seeing a change or seeing an improvement, that's where people can become convinced and help them understand it. The other thing is automation. I said earlier, if you've got any mundane or repetitive tasks that someone has to do, you know, and they've other things that they like to do, try and remove anything that's kind of a bit boring. And if you can automate some things for them, and they can see that, and they go, actually, this is giving me more time to do what I like to do, or it's giving me more time to you know, provide better value essentially to the business. They're focused on more higher value tasks. People will start to appreciate that as well. I think it has to be about selling the benefits, and as I said, just making people aware of that. And yeah, it's challenging. I suppose you could have somebody who is, you know, in one example, we had somebody who was quite happy to do the mundane, repetitive, boring things, and that was a bit of a challenge. But once they could see that everybody else was getting to do other things, because they weren't part of the project, they were sort of part of another team in the department. But then they started to get really curious about it and go, well, why are they being able to deliver that, and how are they being able to do that? And by sort of seeing what others are doing, they could have got a bit envious, and then keen to kind of engage. So I think it's just about demonstrating it. So selling the benefit, but also demonstrating actual results, rather than just saying it's going to give us this and it's going to do that, because people will be skeptical. Find somewhere where you can do it and prove it and say, well, it did do that, and actually we thought it would do X, but it did Y instead. As I said in the other example we had, the customer just wanted to maintain levels. They want a new contract. They were panicking about how they were going to resource it, and they said, we basically try and maintain our levels. And when we actually finished the project, they looked at them and actually we've not only maintained our levels, we've exceeded our levels, and we've brought this new contract in. So yeah, I think that's hopefully all it takes.
Yeah, so thanks very much for that, and thanks for all your questions. If there are any questions that we've not got answered, we'll come back to you individually. So if you've got your email address there, we can answer that question for you. So I just want to say thanks all for joining today. I hope you have enjoyed our discussion on digital transformation. Again, feel free to reach out to our info address if you have any questions that maybe come into your head after the webinar. You've got my email address there as well. Feel free to reach out, and I hope you will all join us on our next webinar. Thanks.